All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Good Morning Let's Basketball. Before we start anything, we want to say Merry Christmas to all the fans. Thank you for all the longtime fans that keep returning and coming back to watch us. And thank you to the new fans that continue to support us, find us through our reels and videos. And thank you for continuing to spread the word during the holiday season. We appreciate everyone and what they're doing. Before we get into anything, we're going to first thank our sponsor, Fat Dan's. Comment down below, Tatum and Brown, for a chance to win a $10 Fat Dan's gift card. Peep the new shirt for all my YouTube viewers. Daniel can't be here today. His visa got canceled, so he'll be back probably next week when he fixes the expiration date and renews it. But Kevin, go ahead. Get us into our first topic. Let's do this. All right. Before we get into today's episode, I got to drop a disclaimer on y'all. And before I do that, I just want to say, it takes a big person to admit when they're wrong. And it takes a very credible, fun, and watchable podcast channel to admit when they get fooled by an NBA Central tweet. Not NBA Central, NBA Central. That's right. Good Morning Let's Basketball got fooled by a fake NBA quote tonight. And you know what? It's an absolute travesty. And that's okay. We learn from our mistakes over here. And you know what? We're going to keep this bit in for the memes. And unfortunately, this bit comes like 2 minutes into the episode. So shout out NBA Central for fooling us on our own podcast. We don't quite have the time to re-record it for y'all. So enjoy the next 15 minutes or so of us talking about a fake Darvin Ham quote. Roll the clip, baby.
And free Danny in the comment section down below. Anyways, Lakers are running into a little bit of trouble ever since their in-season tournament victory. LeBron stated in a post-interview press conference that the Lakers are not where they want to be able to compete with the top teams in the league. So since the in-season tournament, since they hung up that banner and had an unnecessary celebration with champagne and cigars, they are 2-6 since the in-season tournament. And we called that at the beginning of the in-season tournament. I'm not going to say someone called it, that this award is going to be cursed. I can't remember who said it. I think it might have been either you or Daniel, either Daniel. Miles or Daniel. It was Daniel that said that whoever wins this award, they're basically fucked for the rest of the season because it's a cursed award. It was a good call because it's true so far. 2-6 since they hung up the banner. But yeah, a little bit of drama going on with the Lakers. On Christmas Day, the Lakers did fall to the Boston Celtics in LA. And in a post-interview press conference, LeBron was speaking on some of the issues that they had. And he stated something on Darvin Ham. Basically what he said, and I quote, "Hands in his pockets, mouth agape, clueless to what's in front of him. We need to make some changes." That is crazy, bro. That is some crazy. Yes, that is what he said.
He really said that shit.
Yes.
Oh my God, bro.
In quotations, hands in pockets, mouth agape, clueless to what's in front of him. Changes have to be made. And he said this when scoring 16 points, shooting 5 of 14 from the field. Funny.
Did Darvin Ham respond to that, or was that specifically about Darvin Ham? In context?
Yes.
Who else has their hands in their pocket?
This was in quotations.
That's insane.
There's a 4-minute clip on Twitter too of the interview. You can watch it yourself and see it. That is 100% what he said. And no, to answer your question, Miles, Darvin Ham didn't say anything. He can't say anything.
Yeah,
it's LeBron. He
never
says can't say shit, bro. Yeah, I mean, if it was any coach, if he said this about any coach, bro, no coaches ever came out and said anything against LeBron because they'd be kicked the next day. But everyone knows that coaching a team with LeBron James as one of your players, your job's never safe. Never.
Oh,
I don't care if you're Greg Popovich or fucking Phil Jackson, bro. You're not safe.
What's funny about this is I think it's hilarious because every picture I've seen of Darvin Ham just posted on Lakers pages or anything, his hands are in his pockets. I feel so that's why it's kind of funny.
Yeah, and he always has that dumb look on his face, which kind of explains the clueless to what's in front of him. I mean, bro, the Lakers wanted this guy as their coach. They made it happen, and now they're ready to kick him again. People are just so quick to blame coaches, bro. I hate that. I hate how people are just so quick to blame coaches. It's always bugged me.
This is still rippling for me. I cannot believe he actually said that. That's crazy.
On Christmas, no holiday joy whatsoever in that statement, bro. Crazy.
For a team who's actively trying to build chemistry, running back their roster to build chemistry, are just going to come out and shit on Darvin like that. The modern day Doc Rivers, if you will. That's crazy.
There was a clip a couple of games ago. I think it was in the in-season tournament. I'm not too sure, but it was LeBron and AD. Darvin Ham's trying to tell them a play, and LeBron just waves them off, and then they do their own play and score.
As they should. As they should.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, any coach that's coaching LeBron, like you're not really the coach of the team. You're kind of just like the chaperone. You're
Yeah.
there because it's required that you have a coach on the floor. That's
That's
basically
true.
your head coach if you're coaching on a team with LeBron.
If you made it this far into the video, make sure to like and subscribe. We're on our way to 250 subscribers and we're getting closer day by day. If you're watching on Apple Podcast or Spotify, thanks for tuning in. We're approaching our goal of 25 to 30 ratings is what we're aiming for by the end of the year. And we'd appreciate all your support if you rated and left a comment.
But something else I wanted to mention is the limited minutes that Christian Wood has been getting this season. You know, we've kind of shit on Christian Wood during the season, but he didn't play much or even at all against the Celtics, and I think they could have definitely used him that game. Have a little fun fact here as well. Lakers are 14-12 when Christian Wood plays 25 plus minutes this season, and they're only 2-9 when he DNPs or plays 15 minutes or less. I don't know if that really means anything, but a fact is a fact, you know?
Yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, but I see the point. I see the point there.
Yeah. And
It's a
I
big
think
enough difference.
for sure. And I think AD is still kind of like the biggest X factor on this team. I mean, you can kind of argue that he might even be the best player on this team. He played insane on Christmas against the Celtics. And people are saying that the Lakers wasted an Anthony Davis masterclass, which I thought was pretty funny. But something else I actually really wanted to mention about AD is that he's second in the NBA this year in total minutes played, which
Wow.
I don't remember the last time that's ever happened or if it's ever happened.
The only thing more surprising than that would be Kawhi Leonard at one for most minutes played.
Yeah, who's that one?
It did not say. Legion Hoops tweeted it on Twitter. I'm not sure who number one is. Could be KD. Could be Kawhi too, because KD hasn't really missed much games this year. Maybe Luca. Luca never really subs out. Or it could be Jalen Brunson. Because I was watching
Yeah.
the Knicks game on Christmas as well. I don't think he ever subbed out. I genuinely don't think. And that's what you're going to get if you play with Coach Tibbs too. You're going to play if you're a
Yeah,
starter.
true. That's true.
Wow.
But
Oh,
I
hey,
think one. Go ahead.
you know who's total in minutes played?
Who is it?
Who?
It's Kobe White.
Is
Oh
that right?
shit. Shout out my
Yeah.
Bulls fans.
Rightfully so too, man. Kobe White's doing his thing this year. I'm so happy to see that he's finally getting into that role. You know, it's took a little bit for him to get used to, and honestly, even finding a role with the Bulls. With Zach LaVine being out, he's definitely doing his thing. But I think one place that the Lakers kind of fumbled this offseason was the draft. They had the 17th pick this year in the draft, and with it they took Jalen Hood-Schifino, has seen the court maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
Who they should have taken with that pick is who the Miami Heat selected at 18, Jaime Jaquez, because he's playing very
Fuck yeah.
consistent. Vic, you were right.
Roll the clip, Vic. Roll the
Yeah.
clip.
Vic,
Let him have his moment, his Kodak moment.
I picked Jaime. He was selected round one, pick 18 by the Miami Heat. And I liked him at UCLA. He's 6'7". I think Miami's a great franchise that he landed at. We've seen their winning history. He's going to be under a great head coach, Eric Spoelstra. He's explosive. He's very good off the pick and roll to get a shot off, and he can hit threes. And he can also play multiple positions on the court. I think he's going to be a pretty solid pick for the Miami Heat.
sure, yeah. Go ahead, throw it in there for sure. But Jaime Jaquez would have definitely been the best pick here. But you know, you never know with the draft, especially because Jalen Hood was just such like a good young prospect freshman. Jaime Jaquez was a little older, so they didn't really know his ceiling. But Jaime also went to like the most perfect team too, like the Miami Heat. You know the culture over there. I saw a clip the other day of Andre Iguodala on a podcast. You know, there's always such a good story that comes whenever I state this about, oh, this player was on a podcast recently. You already know some bullshit's gonna follow, but I actually liked what I heard.
Yeah, I think I
Very
saw
recently,
this clip.
yeah, before he retired, he did play a season or two with the Miami Heat, and he said at the beginning of the season when they were handing him his gear, they handed him knee pads, and he told the staff, he goes, oh, like I don't need these knee pads. Like you can just take them back. Like I've never worn knee pads in my whole career. And the Miami Heat told him like, no, you're gonna need them, and you're gonna want to wear them in practice. And he
Dang.
said they were right because how they play and how they practice, it's different than any other team he's ever been on in the league. And Iguodala's been on great teams. He was part of
Yeah, I
that
was gonna
Warriors
say
dynasty.
the
He's part of that
Warriors.
Warriors dynasty, which is crazy. He was on Philly when they were pretty decent for a little bit. Like, so it's pretty interesting to hear. I mean, it's no secret that the Miamis have a great culture throughout the years that they've been relevant in the NBA.
Yeah,
So that's very good to hear. I feel like that's also contributed to Jaime Jaquez's success as well. But he's definitely been the most consistent rookie this year, 100% by far. And he's also averaging the most points in the month of December than any of the rookies right now.
Yeah, he had
I
himself a
think
game.
Chet's got that lock though. The rookie of the year.
Wemby's currently number one
Really?
because Wemby leads all rookies in every single stat in total and averages except assists.
Yeah.
He's third, and Chet's not even on that list. He's number one in scoring, averages, and totals, rebounds, blocks, and steals. So he's pretty
Wow.
much dominating the rookie class. It's just, you know, he's on the Spurs. They're 4-24, not much better than the Detroit Pistons, which we're gonna get into later. Chet's on the third best team in the Western Conference. You know, if you threw Wemby on the Thunder right now, he'd be insane. But you
Yeah,
know, I don't really like to say, oh, if he played here, he played there. Rookie of the year, you can kind of give it to just who has the better stats because it's not the MVP award. You
that's
know, it's
true.
just rookies.
Yeah.
So I feel like he'll kind of run away with that. But back to the Lakers, still struggling with their shooting. A recent report came out that Gabe Vincent is debating on getting a procedure on his lurking injury that he's had that could sideline him for 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, he hasn't really played much at all this season, so he might as well just go ahead and get that procedure, which
I was gonna
is
say, yeah, he might as well at this point.
yeah, because who like the injuries like they linger, it's definitely gonna come back.
Yeah.
Might as well just that procedure now, be ready for the second half of the season when they're gonna need him because they need that shooting desperately. No one, it seems like no one on that team could shoot the damn ball.
Yeah, that's 7% from three earlier this year. That
Yeah,
slump he was in. But yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. He's gonna come back and shoot well.
Jared Vanderbilt as well. He's averaging 1.5 points right now on 20% shooting from the field, which definitely isn't going to help them. But these Lakers, man, they're expected to hopefully make a trade by the trade deadline. The trade with Zach LaVine, I did see a report earlier. It is becoming a little bit more unlikely, which was expected. I don't think the Bulls were in too much favor or were too happy to receive D'Angelo Russell, Rui Hachimura, and Jalen Hood-Schifino in the trade, as they shouldn't. But a recent report came out that they are trying to make a trade for DeJounte Murray.
Oh,
I saw
Which then
that.
again,
that's interesting though.
shooters. They need shooters.
He's not okay, he's not like a shooter, but he's not like a bad 3-point shooter.
He's
Well,
not, but you know what happens when players get to the Lakers, they forget how to shoot.
Facts.
it
And I
seems
don't
like
think
the whole
DeJounte Murray.
it seems like the Lakers are frustrated with D'Angelo Russell, and he's like the head guy that they're trying to get rid of. So they're trying to fill his spot, and that's why they want DeJounte Murray. And I think that's an upgrade.
Yeah. Y'all saw they benched him on
100%.
Christmas, right? He came off the bench.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's a
crazy. They started
that's
Jared Vanderbilt with 20% shooting over him.
I don't think that was the answer. I think they should have definitely kept with D'Lo because D'Lo has good games. Every now and again, he's a little bit inconsistent. I think he needs to find a way to be a little bit more consistent. But he always gets brought up in trades, man. They're just throwing this guy around the league like a $3 prostitute. And it's
Facts.
just like it's just not it's not the answer, you know. Like they said, the lineup changes have just always been a thing for the Lakers the past 3 seasons. Every single day they have a new starting lineup.
True.
So yeah,
Yeah.
a trade is definitely going to have to be made. I definitely think that they're going to make a trade by the trade deadline. You know, that always happens. But do y'all think DeJounte Murray is the answer, or do you think we should see a different player trade trade for someone different? Because I have a player in mind, but I want to see who you guys say first.
It's just the same thing every year. Like history repeats itself with the Lakers. Like if they don't win in the regular season, they're gonna trade one of their players and then before All-Star break, so I don't think anything will happen till then. Now they're looking to fire Darvin Ham. I don't know who they're going after. It seems like anybody that's likely to be traded is a target of theirs. A couple of names that come to mind that's on the trade block for teams is Lauri Markkanen, OG Anunoby. I don't know how interested the Lakers are in them, considering they have LeBron, they have AD, and then they have a lot of bigs on the bench with Lauri Markkanen. I don't know how much they'd be interested in him. I would really like to see Lauri go to Thunder. That's a
Uh,
team I really want to see him go to. But
Bro, it's too unbalanced. It's too unbalanced. The script won't let that happen, I hope.
That's actually who I was. That's actually the player that I had in mind who I was going to say to go to the Lakers was Larry Markkinen. The only thing though is if they do have Larry Markkinen, that's a big lineup.
mhm.
Bron Markkinen and AD.
Well, another thing too is the Utah Jazz. They were saying that they're expecting a lot in return for Lauri Markkanen. They want a lot back for him. So I don't know if the
Danny Ainge.
Lakers I don't know if the Lakers are willing to give up that much.
Yeah. I personally don't think, especially, as I say every podcast being the Celtics fan, seeing Danny Ainge's history, there's no way he's going to give up Lowry Markkanen without fleecing the other team first. So Thunder pretty much have the only bag of assets that I'm truly aware of that can actually pull off a Lowry Markkanen trade, which is so scary. But Vic, you got more to say? You good?
No, I'm good, bro.
All right. Here's
Larry
my
Markkinen.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Real quick. I was just going to say Larry Markkinen on the Thunder would make them such a complete team
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
like how
all
do you
around.
stop that? How do you stop that?
Yeah, you're simply not just going to be able to. But go ahead and say the player you had in mind.
So DeJounte Murray, I wanted to give an opinion here. Who was there some kind of trade package that you saw of what the Lakers would give up for him?
I did not, but I'm almost certain D'Lo is going to be in there, and it seems like they're offering every single team the same package, which is D'Lo, Rui, maybe Vincent, and some capital, and also like Jalen Hood-Schifino too. That's what they're offering every single team, and they can't get shit done. So I think they need
Yeah.
to switch it up a little bit.
The only player that I see truly working there would be Rui. And I actually do kind of like the Atlanta Hawks forward lineup with Sadiq Bey. They got Bogdanovich. I don't know about Fino because they do have Griffin over there still, and I think he has a lot of promise. So I don't know how well he would fit in, especially like with Trey Young on the roster, your best player as a point guard as well. So I don't think the Hawks are always, as we say on this podcast, or I say, they're always just like that mid-level team in the East. They just can't get over the hump. And I know this season things really haven't been going well for them. So DeJounte Murray leaving, I think, is a good thing. I'm not really happy with the return. The only person I could see, as I said, was Rui. I don't think D'Lo helps. I don't think Fino would help them a lot. Um, I just don't see how pairing D'Lo with Trey Young would work. But yeah, so I think I do kind of like Murray on the Lakers though, just for that extra defensive backcourt guy. And this guy, he's been an all-star in the past, so he definitely has the upside. I don't think Atlanta's doing him a lot of justice with just Trey Young dominating the ball. But the difference is D'Lo on defense and DeJounte Murray on defense. You got LeBron and AD dominating the ball, but you can have someone who could play the other end as well. And I do think DeJounte Murray is a pretty good playmaker too. So do I think it's going to go through? No, but I like the trade for the Lakers, but I don't see it going through because there's nothing I could see the Lakers giving back that would truly help the Hawks as much as they need it. So that's my opinion.
For sure. Yeah, I don't really see it going through either. I mean, a player that I feel like they can try to target maybe is Donovan Mitchell for the simple fact that I think Cleveland is looking to trade him because I don't think once his contract is up, he will return to Cleveland. It doesn't really seem like he wants to. It doesn't really seem like it's his place.
Yeah.
I know New York was targeting him, Miami was in talks, but it doesn't seem like the Lakers are too interested in him. But I feel like they definitely should too because he's another great scorer. He's a good guard. He would fill that role in very well with D'Angelo Russell. And he can shoot the three, which is something that they desperately need to. So I feel like that could also be someone that they should target. I don't know if they're even thinking about that. They probably aren't. But again, I don't think Cleveland would be too excited to receive D'Angelo Russell back in return just because They already have Darius Garland. He's a very talented point guard. With their forwards, like they already have pretty good forwards in Mobley. They have Okoro, who's pretty good as well. I just don't think they can. The Cleveland doesn't really see anything that the Lakers can offer them, and I definitely agree. I don't really see anything that they could offer them as well. But I did want to ask real quick though, when LeBron first got to the Lakers, that core that he had, do you think he would have been better off with that core opposed to the core he has right now? Because that
Well,
core that he first had before he got injured, they were third in the Western Conference and they beat the Warriors twice that year.
so that's Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma, Hart, and was Randall there still, or was he gone?
Randall,
Okay, yeah, a lot of good players there.
yes.
Lot of.
Yeah,
Oh, did they have Clarkson still at that point?
I think they
Yes,
did.
they did have Clarkson.
Holy shit! And
Now all of those
Nance
guys
was
are
Nance? No, Nance was gone. Nance was gone. Sorry.
I believe Nance was gone. But all those guys are very good role players and also all-stars right now. They blew up that team way too quick. And that team right now would still be on like the younger end of the timeline.
That's true. They did. So my opinion on that is I think that each of those players, I like the idea of them being together, but I think they're each respectively better in their own situation, like with their own teams. And I think that's a big part of their development. I don't necessarily think with all of them on the same roster, they would all develop the same because we know Brandon Ingram was a pretty late bloomer. I don't know if he blooms on a team with all those other guys around him instead of blooming in New Orleans. But my opinion on that is they sold that entire team to go into win now mode, as we call it nowadays. And I think for what it's worth, the win now mode paid off because it did result in a chip. But it's always fun to think about how many chips they could have won if like these guys did develop on the same roster. But I I don't really blame them personally. That's my opinion. I don't blame them for blowing it up. It wasn't smart, but there's only one LeBron James, and when you get him, you gotta cash in on that investment, and they did. So I'm not mad at them, but that's my opinion there.
For sure. I mean, yeah, I pretty much agree with your take. Like people say, oh, if they didn't make the trade, they could be better off now. But yeah, with that trade that they did make, it did result in a championship, and they have been pretty good, solid contenders ever since. But, with all those players there, Hart, Ingram, Randall, Lonzo, Clarkson, none of them probably would have like became what they currently are on their own respective teams that they would be on the Lakers. But with time, you never know. It's always a fun debate. We're probably going to be debating it for a long time, but at the time, it was definitely the best move. They did win a championship. Right now, it does look pretty good. Like the Lakers are still the Lakers. They're a contender. They just need to find a way to find the more better pieces around LeBron and AD.
You see, I think a better question is why did they blow up the team after the championship? That's that's my question. Why did they blow up that team? Because that team was proven to win. And I know the only I might be just ignorant here, but the only player that signed away was what? Dwight Howard? Did Rondo sign somewhere else? Like
Uh,
what
I
Caruso
think,
signed away as well.
Caruso
yeah,
signed away?
Time with Chicago.
Okay.
But the very next season, they were a seventh seed and they got eliminated in the first round by Phoenix. So I
Okay.
feel like that might have played into a little bit as to why they kind
That's
of blew it
bef
up.
that's before Westbrook. I'm getting my timeline mixed up. Was Westbrook wasn't there yet, right? Or was that the
I
next off season?
That was the next offseason. I think he
yeah,
was in Washington during that year,
Okay.
during like that kind of sub COVID year where like
Yeah.
there weren't that many fans in the
Okay.
building.
That's right. That's right. Uh, I think it's scary to think about if all those guys developed with chemistry, though. Like, even if they all didn't become stars, all those guys, like, we've seen them grow into their potential. Even just three-quarters of that potential on a team where they know their role and they all have chemistry. now that you've given me some time to like think about that, that's really scary. Like maybe I know I just said it wasn't, but maybe it was a mistake. Maybe they could have won more chips without without AD, you know?
It's
I
always
don't
been
know.
a back of the mind thought of mine about that. I've always thought about that. They've had very good draft picks drafting all those guys, and then for them to trade it all for AD and then seeing how good they're playing now, it's kind of like, damn, did we mess up or did we do the right thing? But like you said, they won a championship, so ultimately they did do the right thing. But it's kind of hard to say would they have had a better future if they kept those guys because you ultimately never know. I think maybe they could have maybe if they could have worked out a better trade, a better package to get AD, I don't know, and kept maybe a lot of those players, but ultimately we'll never know.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I
Are
think
we
we're ready.
ready for the interactive segment? Kick us off, Vic. Kick us off. Let's fucking go.
All right, I got a player in my head that I'm thinking of, and you guys got 10 questions to guess who it is.
Let's do it. All right. First question. Is he white?
No,
Okay. So he's not a white man.
All right. Is he in the Eastern Conference?
no,
So we got Western Conference, and he's not white.
We can
Okay.
guess players at any point, right?
yeah,
Okay.
Is the team that this player on a top three player in the Western Conference? Is he on a top three team in the Western Conference?
yes,
And that's standings, right? That's
yeah,
not
standings.
subjective. Okay. Kev, what are the top three teams in the West right now? Do you have it pulled up?
It is the Timberwolves,
Wolves.
the Nuggets, and the Thunder. Feel like there's three players in mind that I think it could be.
I'm gonna throw a guess in here because that was our fourth question. So I guess I'll throw a guess. Is it J Dub from the Thunder?
No,
Yeah, it was kind of out there. All right, let's see. We're close. I could taste it. Is all right. I'm gonna throw this out there. Is he on the Timberwolves?
no,
All right, Kev, you want to burn the next two on what team he's on? Because he's on. We know it's one of three.
Can I give a guess of who the player is?
yeah,
Is it Nikola Jokic?
no,
Fuck.
Does that count? No, that doesn't count. That's a player guess. Your question, Kev. We're five in.
Is he on the Thunder?
nope.
Okay,
Hell,
okay. So we know he's on the Nuggets then. I'm gonna say, is it Michael Porter Jr.?
Yeah, it's Michael
Let's
Porter Jr.
go. Let's go. Let's start.
All right.
Uh, and we know it's current. Is it Jimmy Butler?
No.
Okay, I just want to start off with a guess. Is it?
that
I guess
doesn't
I'll
change
start.
anything.
I guess I guess I'll start it off here. Is it in the Western Conference? Is the player in the West?
Yes.
Okay. Is it a guard?
No.
Are they on a top five team in the West?
Yes.
All right, top five team in the West.
Who's 4 and 5? Because we know 1 through 3.
Kings and Mavericks.
Ooh, we know Victor likes. Is it Sabonis?
No.
All right.
I thought you
Victor
were
never
gonna
really.
say Luca.
Is it Cat?
No.
Okay. Is their jersey color blue?
No, I don't think so.
That was a
I
really
was
bad question. That's a really bad
yeah, that was
question.
a terrible question, dude. I was thinking if they had like an alternate jersey that had blue in it, but their regular jerseys don't have blue.
All right. Word. Word. All right. Sorry, I'm just gonna have the standings up so I don't have to keep thinking about what teams. All right.
Is he on the Kings?
Yes.
Trey Lyles, JaVale McGee.
No.
What the fuck?
I don't think JaVale McGee's on the Kings. Is he on the Kings?
Yeah. Dude, why have we not done who he play for on here yet? Fuck. Next episode.
We might have to. I'm gonna throw a guess out here in a second. I just gotta think. Is it Is it Keegan Murray?
Yes.
This is the tiebreaker right here.
All right, let's do this. It's your question.
My question. Okay. This player plays in the Eastern Conference, true or false?
Yes.
Okay.
All
I
right.
knew it had to be Eastern Conference because he had two Western.
Eastern Conference. Let's see. Is this player white?
No.
Are
There's
they
a
on a
lot of
top
white
five?
players. My
Are they
bad.
on a top five team in the Eastern Conference? Celtics,
No.
Bucks, Sixers, Magic, or Heat?
Oh,
So,
yeah, they are. They are. They are.
okay.
Is he a big?
Yes.
Bam Adebayo.
Yep.
Fuck.
Yeah. You know how I knew? How I knew he was on the Heat?
Because you said
Because
Heat, and he goes, "Oh yeah, yeah."
he goes, "Oh yeah." That's how I knew. That's a magician trick right there. I'm no magician, but you know how like people will be looking at like a person like, all right, I'm gonna guess what number you're thinking. One, two, three, four. Oh, you blinked on four. It was kind of
All
the
right.
same thing right there.
We're doing a bonus round because now I have a player. All right.
So now me and Vic are guessing.
Now I want to do one bonus round real quick and give Vic a chance to shine here. All right. Go ahead. You have 10 questions back and forth. Victor, you could start.
Is he 25 or younger?
Yes.
Are they in the Western Conference?
No.
Okay, so Eastern Conference.
Is he a starter?
A majority of the time. So technically, yes.
Shit. Top five team in the East?
Nope. Make
Is
it
it Dennis
count.
Smith? Is it Dennis Smith Jr.?
It is not.
Is it Isaac Okoro?
It is not. He's a player we all know. He's a player we all know for sure.
Okay, so not top five in the East.
Do their jerseys have red?
Yes. That's five. That's question five right there. Yeah, five more.
Are they on the Bulls?
They are not.
Are they a guard?
Yes.
Trying to think. Has this player been an All-Star?
No.
Is this my last question?
You each get one more. This is question eight. So you each get one more, and then I'll give like a bonus hint. You each get one guess. Mike's rules tonight on this one.
Are they on the Hawks?
No.
Are they on the Knicks?
No.
Shit.
All right. Your hint is he's a shitter. That's your hint.
He's
Kevin,
a
think about your
shitter.
list of shitter guards in the Eastern Conference, and you give me one guess. Victor, you do the same. I'll tell you if you're right.
I have
Oh,
two guesses.
wait,
Pick
no,
one.
no.
I don't know which one I want to pick. Is it Jordan Poole?
It is not Jordan Poole.
Shit.
That's who I thought, but then he said they kind of start. So Jordan
And
Poole always starts. That's why I didn't think of him.
I didn't think about that shit.
in and out the lineup. Think deep. Under 25 years old. In and out the lineup. Starts most of the time. Comes down to you, Vic, for the Fat Dan's gift card.
Is it Cam Thomas?
I know who it is, bro. I'm pissed.
All right, bonus for Kev. Go ahead.
It's Killian Hayes.
It is Killian Hayes. It is
Bro,
Killian Hayes,
When
ladies and
when you
gentlemen.
when you said think shitter, like I knew you meant it as like someone that like I despise and someone that I talk shit on a lot. So I just knew for a fact it was Killian Hayes.
Right now, let me check. Let me check the score. They are down by 2 points, looking for the 26 game record. Or 27? 27 is it now? 27 game record?
It'll be
Something like
27
that.
if they lose.
All right. Record breaking night
Nuts.
tonight.
But while we're on the topic of Killian Hayes and the Detroit Pistons, perfect transition into our next topic. Detroit Pistons are expected to make a splash by the end of the trade deadline. What can this franchise do to turn it around? So at the time of this recording, the Pistons are currently playing the Brooklyn Nets to hopefully not get the record of 27 straight losses. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't really see them pulling out a win. Team owner did say that they are wanting to make a splash, in quotations, a splash by the trade deadline. They're going to need a little bit more than a splash, if I'm being completely honest.
They're gonna have to
And I
bring the
say
whole
this,
ocean.
that's what I'm saying. And I saw a report earlier today that a player that they are wanting to target in the trade deadline is Tobias Harris. Is
It's
that a
poetic. It's
is that a
poetic.
is that a joke? Do they really think bringing in Tobias Harris is going to give them another 2 wins on the season? Like, what's the philosophy and knowledge behind this idea of bringing in Tobias Harris
It
into the
doesn't make
team?
sense.
Can't
It
believe that, man.
it makes no sense. I'm fucking I'm stupefied. Like that is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, we need
It,
a
it it's it, it
we need a moment of silence for that, man. The
I don't
Tobias Harris.
I just don't get it. I saw that on Twitter. I restarted my phone and then reopened the Twitter just to make sure I read that shit correctly. I didn't actually, but I really wanted to. I almost backed up my current iPhone, went to AT&T, bought a new one, installed Twitter, and check it again to see if it was true. Because that's just horrible. 2 wins on the season. You're on a 26 game losing streak, and you want to target Tobias Harris by the trade deadline. You might as well just bring in Ron Baker on a 2-way contract.
And
You're
then
gonna get the
Haywood.
same you're gonna get the same result. A player that they are wanting to target in the trade by the trade deadline that I've seen talks is Zach LaVine. I still don't even think that's gonna do anything.
Send him
It's
over there.
not. And honestly, as a Bulls fan, why not just get rid of
Yeah,
him, send him to Detroit? But
they're
I
playing
think
better
what
without him.
for real, and I think what's funny about the Pistons, a couple of weeks ago, I was reading something, and it just goes to show you how like their trade mindset when you were talking about Tobias Harris. So Bojan Bogdanovic is 34 years old on the Pistons, and a team last year was offering the Pistons 2 first-round picks for him, and they declined it.
That's why he's called the difference maker, baby. You should have known.
Wow. I'm
That's
blown away.
insane.
I really am. Like, this
Wow.
is just fucking crazy. This franchise is so bad. And I've seen people say on Twitter too, like, oh, Monty Williams wasn't the answer. This has nothing to do with Monty Williams. Monty Williams proved that he's a phenomenal coach. Look what he did when he actually had good players on his team. They had the best record in the NBA. They made the finals when he was with his time on Phoenix. It's not Monty Williams. What do you want Monty Williams to do with fucking Isaiah Stewart, with Asar Thompson, with Jaden Ivey?
I was gonna say two things I
What's he
want to
supposed to
say
do?
is Chicago. So just quickly touching on the Zach LaVine thing. I know we've talked about this before. Chicago fans buckle up because if LaVine goes to Detroit, I don't see how getting any of those players back is going to help. I feel like if I were Detroit, I would keep Asar off the table, obviously keep Cade off the table, and keep Duren off the table. So you're either getting back. I don't think they're going to want Bogdanovich back. So
They
you're
won't
gonna
give him up for 2 first-round picks. You think they're gonna give him up?
yeah, no, yeah, I feel like they're not gonna trade Bogdanovich, and the Bulls wouldn't want him. So the two people I see going to the Bulls would be Ivy or Stewart. Stewart, I don't think is a difference maker for obvious reasons. Not a bad player. He's definitely not a difference maker though. He's not someone who I think you would want as a part of your rebuild. I'm not the Bulls front office. They may see potential in him, but I personally don't. And then Ivy, you could potentially get back, but that just throws him in a lineup of up and coming guards already. Like you have Alex Caruso, you have Kobe White, you have Ayo Dosunmu. You're coming right into a situation with three guards who you're going to have to fight with minutes for now. So I don't know. I don't know what they get back that helps them unless they want, yeah, Marvin Bagley, James Wiseman, or Kevin Knox as always. So unless you guys want one of those players, like I just don't see the Bulls making that decision. I think the Bulls front office sucks, but it doesn't suck that bad to do that.
I
Um,
mean, I feel like something not to cut you off, but I feel like what their kind of mission is with the Zach LaVine trade is kind of just sticking it to Zach LaVine because he's been kind of like causing drama with the Bulls.
yeah.
The Bulls statistically and record wise are better without him because Kobe White has been emerging amazingly. Caruso's been on top of his game. Dasumu is growing day by day. And, Javon Carter too, we forgot about him. But
Yeah.
out of all the players that you just named, Kevin Knox, Stewart, and Wiseman, I wouldn't hate Wiseman, you know,
Well,
as
yeah,
like a solid,
Wiseman's still young. He's super young. So
very young.
yeah, okay.
Vooch is getting up there in age. His athleticism, I'm saying athleticism like he ever like really had it, but it's kind of fading a little bit. I've seen that like watching the games. Got the game on right now. Actually, they just announced starting lineups. There goes Kobe White. Anyways, like so, I feel like kind of just the thing with this Bulls trade is just kind of just get Zach LaVine off the team. Paid him a lot of
Yeah.
money. Just have another team kind of handle and deal with that. Deal with
Mhm.
him. He's kind of becoming a little bit of a prima donna out there causing trouble. But
True.
Detroit, it would definitely help out Detroit. Levine was an all-star at one point. He still could be an all-star. He dropped 50 on the Pistons earlier in the season, and the Pistons won. They beat the Bulls that game.
Wow. So their two wins are the Bulls and the Heat then.
Yes.
They beat the
Wi-
reigning Eastern Conference champions at the start of the season.
yeah. And they beat the team of a player that they're aiming for that dropped 50 on them, but they still won.
It's
So,
just so funny that they started the season 2-1. Now we're damn near halfway
and
through and they're doing fucking about to beat whatever they are, you know.
yeah, it's bad. I saw a clip the other day. It was their most recent home game when they lost their 26 game straight. When everyone was chanting "sell the team," Cade Cunningham was subbing out the game like late in the fourth quarter because they were out and they were just pulling the starters. Dude was literally fighting back tears.
I was gonna say that. I was gonna
That's
say,
that's actually like upsetting.
mhm.
Like that actually made me feel like genuinely bad for the kid.
I think the number one thing that the Pistons need to do before anything is they need to fire Tom Gores. They need to get rid of Tom Gores. They need to sell this fucking team because if your
Hmm.
star player who dropped 46 points in a loss is fighting back tears against and you're losing to a broken Jazz team without four starters, you know, not I don't know if it's literally four starters, but it's four key players.
It was the three best players.
It's I'm the first thing you need to do is sell the team. You need to get this team into someone else's hands and return this team to what they were in the early 2000s because this is
Hmm.
it's miserable. It's devastating. I you might as well just fucking you might as well just move this team to Seattle and call them the Supersonics at this point with how Detroit is running this team. So Tom Gores needs to go. But Victor, what's your opinion? I'm interested to hear what you think of this team.
It's it's funny because I agree with Kevin. I don't think it's Monty Williams' fault. He was a great coach. I just think this team's just not as good as I thought they were gonna I thought they were gonna be a little bit better than what they have been this season, coming in. I think pretty soon. I don't know why. I just got a weird feeling that Adam Silver might speak on this because you know how he likes to keep the league competitive. He likes to
Mm.
keep it fun. I just I don't know. I have a feeling he's gonna speak on this and saying like this can't happen or something. And he might be a reason why they might sell the team or fire the owner.
And this
Give
is a
them the
reason
top five
why.
picks.
Oh
Give them
yeah,
picks. Give them picks 1 through 5 in the upcoming draft and Luka Doncic.
they got screwed in this last draft, man. The fifth pick is ridiculous for this franchise. That is
Yeah,
that is
that's
ridiculous,
Oh,
that is
Pistons fans
ridiculous.
were pissed.
dude. As they should be. Like
Yeah.
that's insane. But
They got
I
a good
mean,
player though.
they did get a good player. They did definitely get a
Luckily,
good player.
it could have been worse.
Yeah, they could have drafted Amon instead. Doots.
Luckily, he was drafted at 4.
Yeah. It's I mean it's honestly miserable. I've called this team the land of second chances before with Bagley, Wiseman, all those players coming back, Knox. And now we know why. Now we know why. That's a good reason why we don't do that. It's a really good reason. I'm interested to hear though. I got a player in mind that I think could work for them. And no, it's not Lowry Markkinen because I think Markkinen could work on pretty much any team if you put him in there. But I got a player in mind that I think might work, and I want to hear what you guys think. Is there a player in mind that you guys think will work?
I think anybody if and it was funny too is I don't know if anybody watches the Deep Three podcast, but they were like, if you can make two threes in a row, you can get a 10-day contract with the Pistons.
It's like the edit with Caitlin Clark next to Cade. That shit was fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Have
That's
you
funny.
seen
I'm
that?
in players in mind. I mean, the only two I have in mind are like literally Jesus Christ himself and the National Guard.
I
That's about it. Please tell me who you have in mind.
Motown Noah, guy I watch on YouTube, big Pistons fan. I was just listening to a couple of takes he had, so I got to give credit where credit's due. But one player he mentioned was Kyle Kuzma. And you know what? I don't think that's a terrible idea. I kind of
It's not.
feel like that might work.
It's definitely not.
I just know like I mean he's already playing for a poverty franchise. So you like he's definitely expendable. You can move him and
He's from
Washington.
Michigan.
Yeah, Washington is fine. He's from Flint, right? Flint, Michigan.
Yep.
Washington is finally starting their rebuild, and I don't think Kuzma fits their timeline anyway. So why not? Why not just plunge on it? You know, even if he's
Yeah.
putting up stats on a shitty team, like I mean, it's the same situation. It's just a worse team to like even the playing field of the shitter teams. You know what I mean? Like it's not a terrible idea. For some reason, I feel like that'll work. Gives them more shooting. Not going to say it gives them great defense, but it gives him a player besides just Cade that could probably take a lot of pressure off of him and role players as well.
I don't hate that Kyle Kuzma idea. I've always felt like Kyle Kuzma is a really good player and he's very underrated, goes under the radar a lot. I think it's just where he's at. He just doesn't get that media coverage for him. And I think he could definitely help them out. Maybe a future with Cade and Asar might be the move for him, but I doubt that's where the Pistons' heads are at. And I doubt that the Wizards are even looking to trade Kuzma. That's probably not even something they're discussing right now. Seems like the Wizards are trying to move to Virginia instead of trying to actually build their team up. So
It's true. Kevin, final thoughts?
No. I mean,
Not much more to be
there's
said.
there's really not much more to be said, bro. It's gonna be a long time before we see the Pistons become like a relevant and reasonable team, playing team. Like it's gonna be a long, long time on top of how long it's already been. Like no one in free agency is gonna sign to the Pistons.
True.
For what reason would they? The team is horrible. You're gonna have to live in Detroit. There's no upside in signing with the Pistons unless you get like a Jalen Brown type contract,
Yeah.
which it's just it's they're just gonna have to rebuild through the draft, man. That's the only thing they can do. Sell the team, rebuild through the draft, and pray to God.
With all number 5 picks, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But if they don't get the number one pick after this year, bro, then the NBA
Bro,
is
if
then the NBA then the NBA is 100% scripted.
if I was a
I
Pistons
think
fan and they didn't get the number 1 pick, man, I'd stop. I'd stop watching. I'd quit the NBA. You'd have to.
I think their fans already have, bro. Like there's really no reason to keep watching.
They brought
I
back
mean,
the paper bag masks I saw.
yeah, that's a Detroit thing, man. The Lions fans did that a year ago. I think the city of the Detroit sold their souls so that the Lions could succeed, but had to sacrifice the Pistons because the Lions are great. For those of you out there that watch football, maybe,
Not
but
saying I promote fights, but maybe a Malice in the Palace would bring him some coverage finally. Maybe just a round 2 with like Isaiah
facts
Stewart. We saw what he did to LeBron. He could play the Ron Artest role.
or try to do the LeBron.
We can have Kevin Knox play the Steven Jackson role. It's not like he matters anyway. So
Yeah, I don't think anyone really matters besides Cade.
if you made it this far into the video and found the question mark timestamp in the description, comment down below free Daniel to bring Daniel back on the podcast for next week and also be entered into a $10 gift card giveaway. We're still looking for our first winner. Not a lot of competition down there. Hit that up if you find this tag.
To wrap up today's episode, we're going to be discussing at this point of the season who are the real contenders and who are the pretenders. So I'm gonna go through the list here, and I'm gonna say a team name, and you guys are gonna say legitimate contender, cap.
Okay. Word.
Biggest one that I'm genuinely curious about. Minnesota Timberwolves.
pretender.
Big
I'm
sis
gonna say it
pretender.
first.
Miles, what do you got to
Contender.
say about that?
I'm going to say contender. I think they could give a
Contender.
lot of top teams a run in the playoffs in the West. I really do.
I definitely think so too. I mean, they're tied right now with Boston for the best record in the NBA. They have one less win. They're 22-6. Boston is 23-6. Playing great. They have one of the best defenses in the league. I actually believe they have the best defense. They finally found a way to make Cat and Rudy Gobert work together on the same floor. Pretty deep. They got good role players, and Ant is proving himself as one of the best young prospects in the NBA. I believe that this guy will be MVP in the future. He's got that mentality. He's a dog. He wants to win. He's a great leader. The chips are all falling in line for this team. I think that they'll definitely finish the season a top three contender in the Western Conference. And I think that they can really compete with all these other teams because they have thus far in the season. So I think the Timberwolves are 100% a contender. Vic, why do you think they're a pretender?
The only reason I think that they're a pretender, and this might be a stupid reason, just because like they're playing really good defensively. They have the best defense, like you said, best offense. But I think what's going to kill them, and I'm afraid that Rudy Gobert might give them that Utah Jazz effect where they're really good in the regular season, playoff comes around, and they just don't make it that far. And I don't know if they're a little bit of a young team too, so they don't have that much playoff experience. I think that plays a huge factor. And I just, for those reasons, I don't see them as a contender this year. I think next year, yes. This year, I don't think is their year.
I got a question for you. Why is it the Rudy Gobert effect, and why is it not the Donovan Mitchell effect? Is it because everyone hates Rudy Gobert collectively for no reason, or is
No,
it
Yes.
something else?
Yes,
I
that is why.
honestly, I honestly said Rudy Gobert because he played on the Jazz and now he's on the Timberwolves. So that's why I said it. If it was Donovan Mitchell, I would have said that. But
Okay, that's fair. Um, Final thoughts. I They got the chip on their shoulder, man. And a team that could play both sides of the ball has a lot better of a chance with less experience than a team who doesn't.
for sure.
So that I think the fact that they play both sides of the ball, and I really like how well rounded their roster is right now. I think if they don't battle injuries, I think that Olympic ball helped Ant. I really do. That might be a hot take, but I really think playing in the Olympics helped Ant mature as a player. And I think for those reasons, that they're not, won't say that they're going to win it all, but I definitely wouldn't consider them pretenders. I would consider them a contender.
Sure. So the second team in the Western Conference I wanted to get your opinion on, the number fifth seeded 18-12 Dallas Basketball Mavericks, contender or pretender? Luka just came off a 50-point game on Christmas, so factor that in without Kyrie Irving.
Man, this one kills me, bro.
This one kills me too. This is tough.
Ah, I I
This
really hate to do it because I really like the Mavericks. I really like Luka Doncic. Oh my God. But I think I have to say pretender.
I will also go pretender on this one.
Okay, so we got two pretenders here. They're a contender, man. This team was in the Western Conference Finals just 2 seasons ago. They're playing great right now without Kyrie Irving, and they are better with Kyrie Irving. Check the stats, check the numbers. It's facts. They were the number one team in the NBA in the beginning part of the season, first 10 games of the season. I know we're past that, but they are better with Kyrie Irving. Just did go out with injury. Derek Lively, their rookie, is finally in the starting rotation, and he's playing out of his mind. He fits perfectly with Luka Doncic. He had 20 points last night, phenomenal rebounder, lob threat, and an amazing defender. The chips are all falling in the right places for the Dallas Mavericks. I think once Kyrie comes back, they're hot right now. Sitting at 5 right now is in the Western Conference. They have the exact same record as the fourth seeded Sacramento Kings. Not the exact. Kings have one less loss and one less win, but they're only 3 games behind the 2 seed in the Western Conference. Still early in the season, but I think the Mavericks are a contender, man. They have that experience, they have that hunger, they have the vets. I think the Mavericks are a legitimate contender. Obviously, you two disagree, but
Mm,
I
I'll
don't
go for
care.
that. Watching the Mavericks, it is so predominantly Luca. I just don't know how it's going to work. I really don't know how it's going to work in the playoffs. we've seen him pull it off before, but I just don't think it's a sustainable way of playing basketball, just so heavily isoing one player. And you could talk about how great of a playmaker he is all you want, but when it comes playoff time, these role players are going to have to make shots. And to be honest with you, one of the only players that I trust making these shots right now is Tim Hardaway Jr., which is surprising. It's really surprising. I don't really trust Grant Williams in a bigger role than he had in Boston. He's a solid role player, no doubt, but he's gonna have to hit shots. Don't know if he's gonna do it. When they get Josh Green back, I think that'll be huge for them. Lively is a rookie. There's another thing. Lively has been absolutely hooping. I agree with you on that, but we never seen him play in the playoffs. And unless we're relying on Dante Exum to step up and be an X factor here, it's gonna be tough. And they are better with Kyrie. Kyrie hasn't been playing, but I always kind of view these Mavericks as like a bad batch of players. Not that they're bad. I'm just using that to umbrella term them, but it seems like they're just a random batch of players. Like I don't really see this team working out together, whether that be chemistry or just like fluidity of how they play. It's weird watching this team. I don't think these players are going to step up in the playoffs. And for that reason, I'm gonna go Mavs are pretenders.
The reason I went Pretenders is kind of a lot of the reasons you said, but I do like Kevin's points of they're playing well together. They've had a phenomenal offseason, picked up a lot of good pieces to their team. Derek Lively's been huge for them. Give them credit where credit's due. But another thing too is their defense is terrible. They don't have that good of a defense. And I think the defense is gonna take them far in the defense is gonna take you far in the playoffs, I think. And with that being said, I don't see them being going that far in the playoffs, but I do think that the Timberwolves are more of a contender than the Mavericks.
Watching Luca play defense last night was actually pretty abysmal, despite his performance. It was really bad. He was
Five
getting
steals,
that's okay. Well, you're the guy who always talks about, oh, he was in the passing lanes, but like
two blocks.
on ball defense, he was getting blown by.
Well, who cares? He had 50 points, 15 assists.
That's true.
Yeah. That's why we have Grant Williams and Dante Exum on the team. But to wrap up the Western Conference pretenders, contenders, this one's a little bit of a stretch, but they're kind of legit now. Memphis Grizzlies.
Fuck no. Pretenders
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, Pretenders.
They're only 7 games behind being a top 5 team in the Western Conference. Ja Morant's back. Marcus Smart should be coming back pretty soon. Ja Morant clearly has a good effect. One player of the week his first week back, averaging 28 points and 9 assists in his first week back playing ball. If they can piece some wins together, which they already are, and get on a little bit of a roll before the what's it called, the All-Star break, I think they could definitely crack a top 6 seed, and I think that they could definitely compete in the playoffs because they have in the past. Kind
I
of just
just
my
don't
reasoning right there.
I just don't see it this year just because of like we've said like I said last episode, they had a lot of setbacks. I think next year, once they get that team fully healthy with Steven Adams back, Brandon Clark's actually going to make his debut sometime soon. I think this week maybe. But I don't know. I don't think this is their year. I don't see them as a contender yet.
There's a lot of guys who are coming back to this lineup and will have to come back to this lineup in the future that are gonna really adjust how they play. And yeah, they could adjust for the better, but I think we're underestimating how much of an adjustment this is. And just for the record, the 6th seed, I don't consider a contender. If this game was called 6th seed or shit seed, then yes, they would be 6th seed. But contender, no. I think pretender this year.
All right, and moving on to the Eastern Conference, contender versus pretender. Currently the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference, record of 17-11, one of the better younger teams in the NBA, Orlando Magic.
Pretender.
Yeah, Pretender.
Pretender this year. but they're
I'll agree
close.
that I'll agree they're definitely a pretender. I don't want to say they're overachieving right now, but they might be slightly overachieving. But in the upcoming years, this is going to be a team to look out for, 100%. A lot of good young prospects. They play both sides of the ball. Hungry team. They have their future star on their hands, franchise player in Paulo Banchero. Franz Wagner is just an all-around good player. That's just a guy who would fit in anywhere, a great player. He scores, he rebounds, he assists, he plays defense. Same with his brother too. His brother's
True.
kind of like that
Mo's underrated.
physical force. Incredibly underrated. I've watched a few Magic games this year, and I was like, wow, this guy's really surprising me. Jalen Suggs, electric.
Mhm.
Again, just a guy you want on your team, as well as Cole Anthony too.
And
Right?
Fultz. Don't forget Fultz.
Fultz too. Fultz is playing very well. See, they just have so many names and young names that it's hard to keep track of.
Did you guys
Mhm.
say Suggs?
Yeah.
I did, yeah. So this year, I'll agree with you guys. Pretender, but in the future, they're gonna be up there. Count on it.
For sure. Yeah, I don't want to reiterate what you said. You said like everything.
I just want to mention that this year the East is pretty weak compared to the West. I think
Yeah.
those top three seeds, Celtics, Bucks, Sixers, are the real only contenders, and then I'll always throw in the Heat just because no matter where the Heat are, they'll always find a way. So those are like the only four teams that I truly consider contenders. I might be getting ahead because I know we have a couple more teams on this list, but we can move on before I talk too much about that.
I mean, you're already pretty much getting into it right there. That's what I was gonna say next is the Miami Heat. Fifth seed, 18 and 12, fresh off of a Christmas Day win against the Joel Embiidless 76ers. I don't think this team has enough. They didn't have enough last year. I don't care how far they made it in the playoffs. Last year they were a play-in team. This year they probably will be a playoff team just because the East is a little weak. Jaime Jaquez is emerging. Bam Adebayo one night can look like the best big in the NBA. The next night he'll look like he's never played basketball before. Jimmy Butler misses time here and there. Kyle Lowry's old as shit. I'm going to say the Miami Heat are a contender just because they have a lot less than they did last year. And last year, they weren't even a playoff team. So that's my knowledge on that.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna say pretender too. It just seems like they're missing something. I don't know. It just does not seem like they're going that far this year. Like you said, Jimmy Butler's been missing games. Maybe we'll see a playoff Jimmy, but I don't know. I don't see them as a contender.
Motherfucker, that's a contender. That's a contender. I'm gonna keep it real with y'all.
Miami,
Miami is a contender, and let me tell you why. Bam is
enlighten me.
hit or Bam is hit or miss, but Bam is having currently the best season of his career, and this man is a top, dare I say, top five defender in the NBA right now. He is really locking it in defensively this season. I I am a big advocate of playoff, or you know what? Playoff Jimmy is real. I'll finally say it. Finals Jimmy is a fluke. But they if we're talking simply if they are contenders or not, playoff Jimmy is enough to push them to contenders. Another thing I want to mention is last year they did not have Tyler Hero. This year they most likely will. I know he's been dealing with injuries this year, but by playoff time, we could hope that this team would be healthy enough with Tyler Hero to compete. I mean, this team consistently will crack the Eastern Conference Finals no matter what seed they are. We talked earlier on this podcast about how heat culture is real. And you know what? Kyle Lowry is old as shit. I agree. He's washed, but watching what he does, this man still is good for charges in the postseason. This guy gets a shit ton of charges. He's just like, you know who I compare him to? I compare him to the old Chris Paul that went to the finals with the Suns. I really don't see a big difference between them. And you know what? Kyle Lowry can shoot the three ball. Believe it or not, this guy could hit threes. So I don't know how much they're really asking of Kyle Lowry. I think this is definitely one of his last seasons, but I think he's still solid enough to give minutes. Also, I know I've been talking, but Caleb Martin, I know he's not nearly as good as he was in the Celtics series this year, but this guy is a very expendable, versatile defender, and I like him playing both ends of the floor. I think he's a really solid 3-and-D guy, and for that reason, I think the Heat are contenders this year.
Yeah, man. I mean, they always bloom pretty good later in the season. If they make the playoffs, you definitely can't count them out just because of what they've done in the past. This year, though, there's just no way they can compete with Philly, Milwaukee, or Boston. I think those runs are behind them. These two top three teams are just simply too good. Even Milwaukee, I still think Milwaukee is a little eh. I'm not too completely sold on them yet, but I think the
I
Heat are pretenders. But you did make a lot of good points in your point that you just made.
I think they have a shot against the Sixers just because of playoff Embiid.
But there's also playoff Bam.
I'm gonna be I'm gonna be honest. I think the Sixers look legit this year. I think
Uh,
they're a
they
contender.
they definitely
They
look legit. I think they
this
were
is
a contender last year too. I'm just saying.
no, this is the best I've ever seen them, I feel like. And Maxey is having himself a season. Embiid is killing it in December like he always does. I feel like December is his month that he just destroys the NBA, averaging probably like 40 in the month of December, I feel like. I don't know. The Sixers just look really good this season. And then Tobias Harris has been playing really good too. So,
Future Piston Tobias Harris, that is.
yeah, if
True.
they trade
He
him, they're
could get traded. And to wrap up this segment and episode, pretender or contender, we're going to talk about the New York basketball Knicks. Pretender or contender?
Pretender. And it's not even close.
Yeah,
yeah,
pretender.
pretender.
Pretender. You know, I hate to say pretender. I feel like they're kind of in like that middle gray area because this team plays extremely hard. Julius Randle has put up 20 plus points the last 14 games. He's struggled so bad in the beginning of the season. We make jokes that he was putting up tour dates, just field goal numbers, but he's been playing really good recently. He's been playing very good defense recently as well. Rebounds the ball, solid playmaker. I say solid because, he's sometimes he can still take horrible shots, but his shot is falling. Jalen Brunson is looking as good as any point guard in the NBA right now. He had a great game on Christmas, which was yesterday, depending on what day you listen to this. But they have their guys, they just don't have their depth. Their role players are horribly, horribly inconsistent. Mitchell Robinson has been struggling and he's been voicing some frustrations he has with the Knicks. Hartenstein plays hard, but he's not going to compete with any of the other bigs that are in the Eastern Conference. Definitely not Embiid, definitely not Giannis. Shit, not even Porzingis. But RJ Barrett too. Like he played good on Christmas, but other days again, he's just one of those players that's a victim that they just look like they've never played basketball before. I really want to see this team succeed. It's been a long time since the Knicks have been like a very respectable contender. I feel like the most recent seasons they have been getting really close. Obviously, with acquiring Jalen Brunson, he's playing out of his mind. They're not there yet, but they are one piece away from being a very good contender in the East. Just as long as that one piece they get is not Donovan Mitchell or Karl Anthony Towns.
They just beat the Hawks, man. They just beat the Hawks that one playoffs. Things would be so much better for them, I feel like. That series set
Yeah,
them back like 5 years, just losing that series.
it did.
I don't think you can rely on Julius Randle.
I don't think so either. I want to bring this up. The Deep Three podcast, we mentioned them a lot. They make fire content. And they did a little segment on what team would you want to see this trade candidate end up on, and they said Zach LaVine, and they said they don't want him to go to the Knicks because pairing Zach LaVine with Julius Randle is mid on mid, and that is
Saw that.
like
That's
spot on,
facts.
spot on. Like yeah, I can't reiterate or say it better myself. Mid on mid for sure.
That
One
shit was
piece away.
hilarious.
It was very funny. But they're one piece away. I don't really know what they're aiming for. They got a guard. They have a wing in Randall, depending on if you think you could trust him or not. They could probably get a big or another wing, maybe another guard they can possibly throw in there. I know Zach LaVine and Donovan Mitchell, like I said, were kind of in those talks, but I don't really think either of those guys are the answer.
Who is their starting shooting guard right now? Why can I not think of who their fucking starting
Oh, it's
shooting guard?
Dante DiVincenzo.
Ah, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel like a nice backcourt pairing, like a shooting guard. I know we just said no Donovan Mitchell, but I think like a nice defensive based shooting guard would work for them.
DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte, I think that I think that works. I think that's
He
a
would
good trade.
he would fit perfectly in that team. Great defender. You know the Knicks, they focus on defense. Tibbs love players that can play defense. He's going to play 50 minutes a game, which is not even humanly possible. But
Mm.
Tibbs will find a way to make it happen. But
Yeah.
I think he would fit in great on the Knicks. I would actually love to see that. I would love to see him go to the Knicks.
Yeah, me too.
Zion. Zion would not be safe in New York, bro. There's way too many bodegas and corner stores. He's going to stop 3 times on his way to the stadium.
Let me get a pack of woods. Head
That
ass.
too.
Bro, gonna smoke and eat so much New York pizza. It's gonna be crazy.
I've been sitting here the whole time and I was like going back and forth, back and forth. I know I said Timberwolves were pretender. I think I'm gonna make them contender.
Damn. That was a while ago. You must
I
have been
know.
pondering for a minute.
Damn. Bro was in his shit, bro.
He was thinking.
Damn.
Don't think
For
too
real.
much.
Steam coming out that motherfucker. Gears turning and
Hey,
everything.
what's that SpongeBob meme with where he's writing the pen or whatever?
No,
The
it's it's
end.
it's fucking Gunna writing with the flames. That's you
Oh,
writing your proposition for Timberwolves contender.
all right, and that is going to be an end to Good Morning Let's Basketball. And if you've been with us this far, we want to thank you for listening. And if you're new here, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you can give us a like and share this with your friends, it'd mean a lot. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating. It helps us out tremendously. And if you are watching on YouTube, please give us a like or a subscribe. And we'll see you guys next week.